How the bloody hell are you, ladies and gents?
Ladies and lasses, what's going on out there? Welcome back to our show.
Aye, lad.
My name is Mark. This is Alamo. We are the Battle Bros podcast. I just went straight into fucking Russian. God damn it.
You did.
terrible.
You
I
did.
just-
You did. Like I'm changing right now to be more Russian, like you.
Some
You
Russian
know,
guy
that's
was
what
like,
I say.
"What the hell was that?" It's awful.
Oh, sure. Don't
Try
chill
this
it.
again. The only Scots word I know besides so good. Anyway, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Battle Bros
What's up,
podcast.
Max? Vodka.
Oh, Jesus. Do you know Max? I don't know Max.
You know what, Max? You like the vodka? Mac like the vodka. It's a very
No.
nice.
Mac does not like the vodka. Last time I had vodka, I got fucked up, dude. Oh, bullshit.
Sloshed.
Oh, man. No, I got
Scheiße.
shitty. I got shitty Scheißenhosen. Anyway, so what's going on, everybody? Like I said, welcome to the Battle Bros podcast. I am Mac. This is Alamo.
Scheißen in the hosen is what you got.
I got shitsin in the hosen. That's what the fuck happened. So let's just move the fuck on from that conversation. Alamo and I are best friends from high school. We've known each other for a long ass time. Max, welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, so we get on here and we talk about stuff related to the military and veteran communities. We are on episode 092 this week, which is just absolutely amazing. We just started season 5. This is our 4th episode of season 5.
From our centennial. Yeah. And I cannot believe how close we are to our centennial. It's so freaking crazy. So
yeah, we're pretty much here to help stop the bane of the veteran existence, which is the suicide thing, which we're trying to put an end to that shit because that's serious. Like, we need to stop that. We'll explain that at the end of the show. If you haven't been here before, we kind of explain that why we are here. Please feel free to go on to any of our social media pages. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on X, we are on YouTube. You can go on YouTube, links into all of our other accounts. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff.
And comment, because the YouTube algorithm is very weird. They like to see comments. So,
absolutely. So, if you caught our episode last week we were on episode 091, and we were talking about the subject of appreciation. Before we get into this week's episode, we found a couple of one news article that was kind of, we'll just explain it. So, this past week they had the AUSA, which is the Association of the United States Army Conference in D.C. They usually have several high-ranking individuals, such as Chief of Staff of the Army. They have Sergeant Major of the Army. Well, Sergeant Major of the Army came out and made some interesting declarations that we talked about last week. Mainly that they're going to be introducing Master Combat Badges. Basically, if you've earned the Combat Infantry Badge and the Expert Infantry Badge, as you may or may not be aware, you're only allowed to wear one of those awards at a time on your uniform. So you have to either pick, do I want to wear my Combat Infantry Badge, do I want to wear my CIB, my EIB, all that stuff. So what the idea behind the Master Combat Badge is that it's going to be a slightly different variation, where if you can imagine what a CIB looks like, just take the wreath and put it in gold, and that's going to signify that you have indeed earned the Expert and the Combat Badge in those specific fields, which are going to be infantry, the Medical Badge, the EFMB, and then the Combat Medical Badge, and then also the Expert Soldier Badge and the Combat Action Badge, a CAB. So there's going to be a slightly new variation of that. Don't know when, haven't seen any pictures yet, whatever. They're also going to be coming out with a new Mountaineering Badge, which people are saying there's a perfectly good one. If you haven't seen the Ram's Head device, look that up. Some people like it. Some people are like, it looks like a stupid looking Princess Leia badge because the horns come out real like the hairstyle. It is what it is. Yeah. So
it's like, hello, princess.
And that was made. I think that was put into the works by the Vermont National Guard, which is why Big Army's probably like, yeah, we're just gonna do our own thing because anybody that's earned.
Does Vermont have a lot of mountains? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, yeah.
See, I like mountains. I like going. Yeah, what?
In all the states up there, like Connecticut, Maine, they're all right up there towards the northeast end of the Appalachian Trail.
Connecticut, I know about the mountains in Connecticut. I got family out there, and
New Hampshire,
gone there a couple times.
All that good stuff. My mom and my daughter have both, for the last couple years, been watching on repeat the game warden shows on Discovery. So like Northwoods Law, and they're up in the mountain with like Maine Warden Service, New Hampshire Fish and Game. Conservation officers up there, so they a lot of times will go on search and rescue missions for like lost hikers up on the Appalachian Trail and whatnot. So yeah, mountains,
makes
absolutely. Sense. I think it's up at Jericho Range. So the fact that the National Guard put that into the works and not Big Army's like, we're probably just gonna do our own thing. But that's not the biggest thing that's turning heads at AUSA. Yeah. If you can scroll that page down there, Macho.
Yes, indeed.
Scroll down to the end of that picture. So, and if you can click on that picture and highlight it up a little bit.
Boop.
So this picture right here is because if you look at the left, I believe that's, I forget what the general's name is, but I believe that's Chief of Staff of the Army. I got to look it up now because it's bugging me. But anyway, if you look at
Sergeant Major of the Army right here.
Right. See who the current sitting, the incumbent for Chief of Staff of the Army is, if you would please. So that's the Chief of Staff, Army Chief of Staff. And on the right there is Sergeant Major of the Army Michael Weimer, who a lot of people were really looking forward to having in the SMA slot because of his background in Special Forces. Comes up from that whole, he's Green Beanie, Snake Eater, all the good names, comes through that realm of the Big Army and stuff. But if you notice in the picture, he is wearing not issue low quarter Oxford dress shoes that go along with the new pinks and greens. No, nay. What everybody's freaking out about is that he's wearing Chelsea boots. Now, if you haven't ever seen Chelsea boots, it's pretty versatile. They have like, the front and half have some elastic in there, and they're actually really comfortable to wear.
They're rather dapper.
They're all right. You can dress them up. They can be casual. They can be kind of a little bit more business formal, all that kind of stuff, depending on your accessories, all the good stuff. If you ever want to check that stuff out, there's a great channel, by the way, by a Marine officer veteran by the name of Real Men, Real Style. His name is, I think it's Antonio Santini or something like that, but he's got a fantastic channel. Yeah, it's called Real Men, Real Style. It's got YouTube videos. It's a website. It's got all this kind of cool stuff. If you really want to up your game a little bit when it comes to fashion sense, guys, listen, I get it. I'm a jeans and T-shirt kind of dude, but every once in a while,
redneck.
What? I'm not a redneck.
What?
I'm not a redneck. Shut up.
You have very redneck-esque attire.
Just because I wear a pair of shit kickers because they're comfortable. All right.
It's all good, man. My balls fly free.
What the fuck are you talking about? Just shut up. What the shit? Anyway, so everyone's up in arms about him wearing these non-authorized boots. They're not even cab boots. They're not even tanker boots. They're Chelsea boots. And he was pretty much just quoted as saying, we're testing them out. It's like, Sergeant Major Army should be upholding the standards and stuff. But, like, this is a big thing. This is why I brought this article up. Because it's like, of all the crap that we can bitch about, like, that's what we're going to bitch about. I get it. There is a little bit of double standardism going on there because Sergeant Major Army should be setting the example for the rest of the force and not just doing his thing. So, but it was also announced that he made a comment which was kind of loosely interpreted as we're going to get new PTs, and it's like, Jesus, we just got these 7 years ago. And then they walked that back and said, hold on. What they're saying is, we didn't really mean that. We just mean that we're going to have better options available, better form fitting, better materials. We're going to keep the same PTs. We're just going to give you better options for wear and stuff and make sure they fit. It's like,
so for the guys that, want the tight fit around the chest and arms and the loose fit around the belly, they're going to have those options.
Word fucking bird. So,
bird.
That too. So, yeah, it's just the stuff that people focus on. It's like we're talking about the future of the service here. We have this conference once a year, and that's what the takeaway is. Like, he's not wearing authorized shit. We're going to get more new PTs and stuff. Like, let's just stop being stupid, Hua. Quit getting your fucking head stuck in your fourth point of contact, Hua. I was watching something today. I was like, I wonder if he's like the kind of sergeant major where like, he just kind of has that like a prefrontal lobotomy and just has a pet peeve. More sergeant major. How do you know what kind of goddamn day it is?
Being that he's like a former SF, he's a high. You already know this guy has nuts the size of freaking bowling balls. So it's like, you wonder to yourself like,
Sergeant Major needs a volunteer. What are you gonna do? You're gonna be in front of me about 3 places, just carrying a wheelbarrow. What goes in the wheelbarrow? My big old fucking nuts.
Tonto's giant nuts.
Tonto's nuts. Exactly. It's my nuts. SMA. Smanuts. 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 So, yeah, that was the news we found this week. Everything else was kind of
lame.
So for this week, this kind of came up from a couple of different things. Alamo and I have, and not to get an advertiser business out there, we have a friend of ours who's kind of going through, some pretty heavy life stuff. And what really kind of surprised me is how he's in the right kind of frame of mindset to tackle this obstacle in a healthy, constructive way. Okay. In addition to that, it's just everything else going on. Like we just mentioned, everybody's flipping out about he's not wearing reg boots. Okay, maybe they're doing wear and tear tests. Like, calm it down. So that's why this week we decided to talk about the subject of attitude and why that's important, especially nowadays. And we're going to talk about it from a couple of different perspectives. Attitude for an individual looking to join the military, attitude while in the military, and then attitude, and this is probably most important for the veteran community, is your attitude once you separate and leave the military altogether, right?
Which is tough for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
It's really tough.
Like we always do, we're going to give you a quick definition. So attitude is a settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something. And it's typically one that is reflected in a person's behavior. Okay? So a settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, let's get into it. So, you have to understand. So, looking at it from our perspective, Alamo and myself, we are both GWAT kids. We are both, we grew up very
global war on terrorism for you guys out there.
If you don't say Army Espanol, that was a dumb joke. I'm sorry, Lord, I apologize. Fucking stupid. Anyway, if you don't speak the lingo, yeah, I mean, we became, adults pretty much on a fateful day back in 2001, and we joined the military and all that stuff. So the attitude was so different. It was just like it was for all intents and purposes our generation's Pearl Harbor moment.
Yeah,
this was something absolutely. Like everybody got spurred up, and everybody's like, "I'm going, let's go!" Like this is our time,
like kind of shit. Yeah, like you witnessed the death of like thousands of people on live television right there before your eyes. And the thing is like you didn't have to be there to be there. You witnessed everything, and it just and not to get too deep into the weeds about it, but the stories that have come out of 9/11, everything from the trauma that people have experienced down to the things that they witnessed. Like, I don't know if I've covered it before when we talked about it, but there was a story from a security officer who was working, I believe, Tower 1 and 2 at the time. And he was, evacuating the building. And at some point, you remember the pictures of the people jumping out of the building?
Yeah.
Um, well,
Vividly.
yeah, yeah. Well, at a certain point, like, he actually went to, unfortunately, go tag up some of these people, mark them as, you know, dead, unfortunately. And he came across a woman who, although she had fallen probably about 30 plus stories, somehow was still alive after the jump. Now, in the condition that she was, from his description, um, it looked like her body had merged with the concrete, so he did not think she was alive. Um, Especially the portion of her skull that was still remaining. And it's so. And he said that when she responded, she said, "Hey, what are you doing?" Because I guess she had, with whatever life she had left, she had felt him put a black tag, which is what he was using to mark the people that had fallen. And you know, she essentially said, "What are you doing?" And it shook him to his core.
Yeah.
It absolutely wild, man. Absolutely wild. But sorry, man. I went out on a little bit of a tangent.
No, but I mean, but that kind of goes to, if you think about attitude, you kind of have to think about mindset because they kind of are
Yeah.
very closely related. They could be kind of be argued as being, two sides of the same thing, two
Hmm.
sides of the same coin or something along those lines.
Absolutely.
But yeah, attitude, has just, it's something that, kind of can change and, metamorphosis, go through a metamorphosis over time. Like,
And you could become a big caterpillar. I'm sorry. Wait. No, that would be a butterfly. Sorry.
I wish I could like mute you. Just shut up, dude. You're fucking up the show. No, I, that was a really asshole thing to say. I'm sorry, bro, but you are. But I mean, like, if you look at just the several, like, look at the 5 year span of 2 years before the end of the war, people were
Yeah.
still very pro-military and stuff. Now here we are 3 years after that disastrous fall and evacuation of, wow, geez, I almost said Saigon. I'm like, that's not right. The fall of Kabul and stuff, and
Yeah.
how that kind of all came to a close and whatnot. It's like the military has just kind of gotten further and further away. So attitude can be affected by a lot of different things. It can be, just something that naturally progresses over time, kind of goes through its own metamorphosis and whatnot, just because of the, socio demographical and political climates that we're in and whatnot. It's a
Yeah.
lot of different things. The military is not what it was. Just because
Absolutely not.
we live in different times. I mean, Jesus, I went to.
Think about it this way. We're old as shit because, I mean,
Thanks for reminding me.
9/11 was 23 years ago. Many of the kids in the military now either were just born or not even born yet as they're in right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a huge, huge differentiation there.
I'll tell you what's weird is like seeing people that are in, and I'm like, "You're missing a ribbon. Where's your GWAT service?" Oh, that's
Oh,
over. Yeah.
yeah.
And they're also not being automatically awarded the National Defense Service Medal for
Yep.
graduating base. They're just going back to the Army Service ribbon, the rainbow ribbon. It's just
Yep.
like we had a freaking racket shit. We had a full bar already
Mhm.
when we came out. There 3 ribbons. It's like, all right,
Oh, yeah.
cool. So anyway, because of these considerations, we found some stuff on attitude that we kind of want to talk about, and this one's going to be a little bit more loose compared to normal. We found some articles. One of the interesting things that was about about this particular topic was, and this kind of happens sometimes. It's like researching this stuff, you can find a lot of stuff, but it might not be kind of pertinent to the angle you're going with. Like
Right.
we were trying to look at like this scope of things, and we're trying to maybe narrow it down to here, but then we kind of were like, let's open it back up a little bit, that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So, first thing we found was a short article. This is from, this article was published actually 5 years ago yesterday. It's called The Power of a Positive Attitude. It was published by an Air Force officer, Colonel Mark Nitz, who I would assume is the commanding officer of the 60th Medical Operations Squadron at Travis Air Force Base in California. So this is a kind of a quick one. We're going to read it real quick because it had some good talking points in here. So, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. And that's a quote from Maya Angelou. The concept of having a positive attitude is certainly not new, and it's easy to discount this as something we all know or think we know. Sorry. I doubt you'll find many people who would argue a negative attitude is better than a positive one. But as common as this wisdom is, we all probably know somebody who is so predominantly negative about almost any circumstance that it permeates their thoughts and behavior. I'm not saying the appropriate periods of grieving or disappointment we all feel from time to time are bad, or that you have to be happy all the time. Side note, you ever seen happy people all the time? It's kind of like
Weird.
kind of weird, kind of strange, off-putting, scary. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
Joker, go over that way, please. That would be great.
Kind of makes you think of the movie Smile, where you just like see the person's like,
Oh, I've heard they're coming out with the second one, right?
yeah. I
I don't
haven't
do
watched the movie, but I don't, I don't know. Shit like that
I
creeps
don't
me
like
out.
horror movies, but I'm just like, instead of going no, like just get me the hell out of there. But when you allow the challenges of your personal and professional life to affect you in a negative way, it begins to permeate your thoughts and behavior. You may have noticed I said when you allow. That's because we each make our own decision about how we let our thoughts and feelings affect our attitudes and actions. Excuse me. Most people have a natural inclination to positivity or negativity and don't spend much time thinking about their attitude in a conscious or deliberate way, but that's where the magic happens. The ability to be mindful of your perception of events and your environment. Remember the environment part. We're going to talk about that a little bit further in depth later on the load. It would behoove you to remember that point of events and your environment and understand how that affects your outlook and behavior enables you to make a deliberate decision about the attitude you want. I would argue the military does a better job than most at instilling the importance of a positive attitude in their members. We train people to endure austere conditions with a positive attitude as the cornerstone of resilience. We can fully embrace a decision we may not agree with because we understand the principles of leadership and followership. Why, then, do I consider this worth mentioning? As leaders, we help set the tone for those we lead as well as everyone around us. We can foster a negative environment or a positive environment with the attitude we present. For even the best intentioned of us, it is easy to lapse into negative thought and feelings without realizing it. Choosing a positive attitude takes constant vigilance and self-awareness to stay attuned to our actions and behaviors. How can you build the necessary vigilance for positivity into your daily practice? Do a self-check every morning and make it before making a decision. Be mindful of the attitudes of others and what you accept to surround yourself with. That one really stuck out to me when he said that because what is it your wife says all the time? Change your circle, change your life.
Change your circle, change your life.
Yeah, it immediately made me think of that. Be mindful of the attitude you want to see from your team and make that the attitude you exude. For those of you who aren't convinced of the influence a positive attitude can have in your life or may need a different motivation, I'll leave you with this quote from Herm Albright. Quote, a positive attitude may not solve all your problems, but it will annoy enough people to make it worth your effort.
I
So
actually like the way that was stated because
I do too. Yeah.
my thing is this: like, you notice that there's people that actually get really, really peeved when someone is like positive, even though bad things are happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not talking about the weird kind of like, oh yeah, hoo, hoo, hoo. I'm talking
No,
about
I know
like,
exactly what you're talking about.
but you get what I mean? Like, it's like, well, like,
It's
gotta,
almost in
gotta
the
look at it
realm.
at this point. I gotta look at it this way.
It's
You know?
almost in the realm of being like overly happy, so much to where like you're trying to bleed it into other people,
Hmm.
and it may not have the best effects or intentions that you wanted to.
Right. Hmm.
Like, so there was this NCO that I had when I was in Mississippi before we left for Afghanistan. Kind of, just pinned on staff sergeant, so he's at the higher, he's the highest rank of being a junior enlisted guy. I don't want to say his name or his position, whatnot, but like he would get up
Giggity,
and just
giggity.
start. He would just get up and start screaming, "It's a beautiful morning!" And we're all like, everybody's awake.
It's a beautiful morning.
And at the time, I was just like, "Can this guy just stop?" Like, I get it. Like, there's other NCOs around here. There's other staff sergeants. There's other sergeants.
Right.
Like, why do you need to be that guy? Now, getting to know him after the fact, like, he's not a bad dude. It's just one of those things, like, you just kind of like, you put up or shut up kind of deal. I get that.
Hmm.
But it can be really effing annoying. Like, super
It
annoying.
can
To the
be.
point where you just want to, like, choke him.
But there is a flip side to that, where there is that positive person that can kind of
Flip
change
side,
the.
really?
Oh, yeah, shameless plug.
Ah,
But the that there is that guy that can be positive with and exude positivity, or that positive attitude without being the overt. You know what I mean? There, and I believe that when you can be that individual and keep people, you know, it's almost it's a way you can keep people grounded. And I think there's an issue with people nowadays where we've covered the religion of self, like people kind of saying like, oh, I'm perfect, I'm this, I'm that, blah 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 blah, blah. But there's also that whole thing of the people that tend to take themselves far too seriously.
I get that.
And it's just it's that in itself is an attitude. And when you have far too little of a sense of humor, and you take that time to be that person that can't be joked with, that can't take anything with a grain of salt, that can't that can't be that individual that can take a joke, you can drag everybody else down into like the abysmal muck that is, I guess you could say whatever the situation is that you're experiencing. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you drag other people into your situation, the attitudes of everyone else can change. Maybe not because you're making them experience what you experience, but your experience is making them experience bad, something negative, if
I
that
got you.
makes sense. You know what I mean?
I get the gist of what you're saying. Yeah. So you actually just made me. We're gonna go completely off the rails here. So I just had this thought, and like I know we have a bunch of articles that we're gonna reference, but I'm just gonna go push those to the side for a minute. So speaking of attitude, we've all heard the old adage: false motivation is better than no motivation at all. Do you think that's a healthy attitude, or do you think it's a bad attitude? Bro,
I I think it's. I'll balance it. I'll balance it this way.
dude, we're live go with this, baby.
I
I want to see
think
where this goes, man.
I think it can be beneficial at times, but most of the time, I think it's a crock. because if you're visibly faking, and if it doesn't come off as genuine, one thing I've noticed is that people flock to flock to um like real things. They flock to people that can be genuine. They flock to people that can show that this is my genuine self, and if you don't like it, oh well. They don't. They especially nowadays. The reason why reality TV is booming. There's a reason why um things like documentaries on YouTube and things like, you know, there's a reason why these things are becoming more and more successful. And it's because people are tired of seeing, they're tired of having things shoved in their face. Like, of course, escapism is a thing, right? However, however, the, the escapism is no longer the ism people are looking for, because there's not enough real in our world now to go around. There's not enough real in this world now, because so many things are just fake and this and that and the other. It People are looking for an ounce of real to balance themselves out. And they want to
So
see real people with real problems with solving those problems. Does
so
that make
instead of
sense?
real, yeah, it is. And I think just for clarification purposes, you should probably specify when you're saying real, you're meaning genuine article type stuff, because real is, we have artificial intelligence. We've got, what are they,
God.
what are they,
I read an article recently on
augmented
that of a kid
reality.
who
We don't real's kind of its own
it's
construct
yeah,
nowadays.
yeah.
It's not, I'm not trying to sound all like Rogan-esque and go into this rabbit hole. Man, I'm not
Hey, do
trying
you
to do
want
all
to
that.
smoke some weed and talk about UFOs? Let's go ahead and do that, man.
But I mean,
Okay,
but
I
yeah,
love you, Joe Rogan. Sorry, I do. I love
yeah.
you, man.
I
But
mean, the guy's a goat.
seriously though,
Let's face it. He's kind of been a trendsetter for the podcasting ever since it started. But
yeah,
back to our point, though. I mean, we could go in the rabbit hole and say what's real, because you have artificial intelligence, you've got AR, you got augmented reality,
augmented.
where
Yeah,
people are walking around like trying to catch Pokemon in real life. They're getting their foot stuck in storm drain. So it's like
or they're falling
genuine,
down a storm drain.
genuine. Yes, I would say instead of real, saying genuine for sure. But at the same time, not even reality TV is reality TV, because you have some. I
Right.
was watching an interview sometime a long time ago where they're talking about folks that were on the show Survivor, which has been on for like 20 plus seasons. So it's been on for like 10 years. My dad used to
No, it's
love
been on long.
watching.
It's been on longer than that, man.
It's been on
Survivor's been on since
20.
like we were in high school.
It's been on for like 22 seasons, I think. But they do like two a
Oh,
year, so it's like
good
11 years
God.
or something like that.
Yeah.
I forget when, but regardless, so they were saying though, like, it's not. I mean, because listen, it's a reality TV show. It's a show, so there's still going to be production factor.
It
So you had like some of the.
Producers
Hold on,
shift the narrative.
hold on. I know. Hold on. They do, but they were also talking about like how, when they were doing these challenges, like these tribe challenges and stuff, they didn't have drone shots overhead or like high wire cameras. They actually would go back and they had body doubles that were wearing like their little their buffs and stuff and the same kind of attire that they were wearing, to go back and like swim through the rivers and all that stuff to get some B-roll stuff. So even the reality TV is not exactly real. So like we're kind of leading ourselves to be led astray, but that's going way off
Yeah.
into the weeds. But back to
Hmm.
the original comment though of the whole false motivation, better motivation. I would, if somebody is falsely motivated, I guess the context of that for me is like, to what extent are they like,
Yeah.
it sucks. This is a shit situation. I'm gonna freaking hold my end up so I'm not letting the guys down. Or is it just one of those guys who's trying to get ahead? Like, yeah, it's fucking great. We're filling sandbags in 147-degree heat with no water. Yeah, love life. Go Army. Woo! Like,
Embrace the suck.
there's embracing the suck, and then there's embracing the suck that's, kind of jamming its big green weenie down your orifice or whatever.
Orifices.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I mean, when in that respect, I feel like if you're not, no motivation is better than, if you're not motivated, just say so. Like, okay, we're there. But
Yeah.
when you're falsely motivated, you got the guys who are like, yeah, I love life here. Next thing you know, those are the guys that are rolling frag grenades into the CP tent and stuff. And it's just like, oh, he's really not motivated.
Or the guys
Okay.
sowing division amongst the platoon because they hate life.
They're doing what now?
Or the guys sowing division amongst the platoon because they hate life.
Oh, trying to cause division. Okay, tracking. So, but yeah, I mean, attitude is so crucially important. So, like, when we first started on this episode, we were talking about like the attitude of getting in. And our country was under attack. It's the first time it's happened in 60-something years. A lot of people, a lot of our friends in high school, man, we all ended up serving call to arms and stuff. So, like, we had the attitude of it's our time, it's our turn. We need to stand up and do what's right. Raise your right hand, sign on the dotted line, all that good stuff. So, at least the attitude for going into the military was probably the one that we needed to have for that time.
Take my hand, Uncle Sham.
Uncle Sham. Jesus.
You like that? You like that? Instead
Uncle
of Uncle
Sham
Sam
with a
Uncle
giant E4
Sham.
Sham shield on there.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, for going up through the military, we had to have the right attitude and mindset of, hey, some of us are going to be going to war sooner than you think, and some of us might not make it home. I mean, and
shit's going to suck. So we got to see the brighter side of things, or we're not going to make it.
I mean, hell, dude, just doing like the 100-yard live fire crawl where you got machine gun rounds going over the top of your head and stuff. Like, that sucked, but the attitude was like, this could very well happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, better pay attention, learn something. Cool, awesome. So, and I think, your attitude will probably change a little bit, depending on what branch you're in. I'm sure there's going to be some fundamental differences in attitude when you're talking Army versus Navy versus Marine Corps versus Air Force versus Coast Guard versus Space Force. Okay, Space Force got a little chip on their shoulder because the new kids on the block. I get that, but they also got some pretty cool stuff going on. So good for it. It's good for you guys.
They do.
Space Force. So
didn't they actually get their Space Ranger? I forgot. They did get their first Space
we did.
Ranger,
We talked about it. Yeah, that one captain.
Right.
He's a Space Ranger.
That's right. Ranger certified Space Force.
Ranger Guardian.
Ranger Guardian.
He also had a sapper tab too.
Let's blow shit up in space. It sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, dude. I forget what that guy's name was. He was a captain though. But yeah, good on him. But
yes.
So having the right, attitude for going into different service branches, but then also just as you go up through the chain of command and going, getting promoted and going up in the ranks and stuff, it's like your attitude, listen, we've all been there. Whether you're a brand new butter bar that's got his Ranger tab showing up to a new unit, or you're a freaking, PFC Spec 4, you get your unit. It's like you have to have the attitude. At least, and I'm sure I'm speaking to you, Alamo, as well, for our time. It's like you get to your unit, you're like, well, this is going to suck for a little bit, and I'm going to get fucked with, but it's going to be fun. It'll be cool.
At least I wasn't the guy that fell for the trick of, hey, go pick up some Kenlight batteries and
get a box of grid squares
from the
and get an exhaust sample off the Humvee. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. You can smoke the shit out of me, but I'm not doing dumb shit.
I couldn't believe. Poor Chua. That was the Filipino kid from my platoon. You remember that shit I told you about it? Oh,
I do. God. Yeah. I'm just remembering the time that
Sergeant, can I have a box of grid squares and Kenlight batteries?
Oh, he had the full Filipino thing going on.
Oh yeah, no, he was straight from Philippines, man.
Oh man, that poor guy.
He got his citizenship right after he got to our platoon. Right after we had the whole ceremony and everything, and he got it. He got his U.S. citizenship right there, man. It was
nice. That's a cool story, though, man.
Freaking amaze balls. But in the meantime, before that shit happened, they screwed with him so bad. Oh my god. Yes. Like it was Like when you talk about the Filipino kid, he was the Filipino kid.
So,
But you know,
and
Ian,
I'm not
it
trying to
is
say
what it is.
anything. I'm not trying to say
You
anything
gotta love
mean, but like
Filipinos.
he was like your platoon's Fez.
Yeah, that's actually a good
Yeah.
analogy.
Mrs. Foreman, I'm sorry, I washed my face with the ovaries.
Uh, I would like to put in some time for taking my lunch and having some noodles. Roger, Chua. For go fuck
So,
yourself. Like, did you just say that, Chua? Yes.
yeah,
Jesus.
that's awesome.
Oh man, Chua, I love you, buddy.
Too bad
You
Withers
got to
isn't.
get back in contact at some point, man.
Too bad War Daddy's not here. He could tell you about the time that I was sitting there and he told me that we were um, staying at the mount site at Camp Landing, and he's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
pop a chem light real quick." So I popped a purple one, and I was like, "Oh, this chem light don't work." So I popped like 4 of them. They were all IR chem lights. One guy looked at his nods. He went, "Why the hell is it so bright in here? Jesus!" Were those purple chem lights, Mac? Yeah.
Oh shit.
Just do push-ups. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot.
Sorry, Jordan. Sorry.
I was an idiot when I was younger. I kind of still am, but I faked the funk pretty good. Anyway, I was thinking of a joke to tell, but I'm like, that's really gonna get us canceled. So I guess admit, halt, stop, retreat, eat out by.
Just
Exactly. But anyway, so one of the other points that we were talking about, we both Alamo and I consulted with our good friend Brian last night talking about this, and one of the things that we discussed a little bit in depth was the whole the attitude of like people in that are out of the military, the veteran status, and especially when like you see a dude and a dude can be a person, male or female or whatever, not being any type of restrictive towards gender or anything like that, any ethnicity, any race, whatever.
As we like to call them, the Hiwas.
Yeah. You see a hua over there in the corner or in the store, and they're just like, you can tell that their mind is somewhere else. It's like there's that great scene. There's 2 scenes that I think of in a movie that actually did that justice. The first one was in the Chris Kyle movie that Bradley Cooper did.
That's a great movie, by the way. American Sniper is a
American Sniper.
Movie.
Thank you. You see him sitting there, and he's got a beer in his hand. He's got his ball cap on, and he's looking at the TV, and you hear in the background like gunfire and sounds of warfare, shit getting blown up, rounds getting cooked off, all that stuff. And it slowly pans around to where you see his perspective. The TV's not even on. He's just mentally, he's fucking checked out. And I saw a guy mention that. He goes, "Man, they got that shit right." He goes, "That is absolutely true." But the other scene is at the end of the movie Jarhead with Jake Gyllenhaal. Another pretty good movie. I like it. It's a good movie. There's a lot of people in it that are good. Him, Jamie Foxx playing, Staff Sergeant Sykes.
Sir, I got lost on my way to college, sir. Bam!
Perfect song for that. It just doesn't make any sense there, but you're just like, all right, go with it. But at the very end there, where he's sitting on his couch or whatever in his place, and it kind of goes around, or it's got the window there, and then like you see out the window, but then it kind of slowly pans over, and it shows them his scout sniper section where they're just kind of walking in a chevron formation, in a wedge. I was like, why couldn't I think of that name? They're walking like a wedge formation out in the desert.
Wedge it out.
Yeah, wedge it out. And they're just like, he's like, some of us are still out there. We're still out in the desert. Like, ooh, yeah. So, I mean, and you just hope that doesn't happen to a lot of people, because, like, that's kind of just problematic in a lot of different ways. Another great example that Brian gave us was, think about, so you got military guys that were military or guys that are military. So military personnel versus civilian law enforcement, and how that can go south very, very quickly, because you have, especially when you have guys or gals that are in like these, higher echelon operator-esque jobs, where you're talking Ranger Battalion, you're talking Green Beanies, you're talking Delta CAG, all that cool shit, cool guy stuff. You kind of have a little bit of that freaking, like, you're aggressive, you're an asshole. It's like you have to, as a defense mechanism, as a way of doing things. You get in there, you fucking hit the pipe, you get the job done. All that shit, right?
Yep.
Well, what happens when you get stopped by a civilian cop, and it's like it turned into a dick showing contest. It's like, no, you don't really understand who I am. And the cops, especially when you got that one stereotypical nasty cop. Think of like the jerk cop from Harold and Kumar. Go to White Castle. Yeah, what kind of name is Kumar? I'm gonna bust your ass. And it's just like the guy who never did anything in life, still lives at home in the same small town. Got that crazy freaking just jerk cop stash and shit. Not all stashes are bad, gentlemen, ladies, whatever. By the way, I'm sure a lot of people rock it, and they rock it well. I'm really happy, by the way. Just completely random thought. I'm happy to see more agencies letting guys have beards and facial hair and stuff, and not just like SWAT dudes and detectives. Like, listen, as long as your stuff looks squared away, it's trimmed, it's edged, and all that stuff, it looks professional.
Yes.
Neat and trimmed, got it lined up and stuff. Rock it. Absolutely go for it.
While we're on that side, I think a big part of that was, I really don't think it comes down to the aesthetic of it. Although I think that was a part of it. I think it was more of a, the more hair you had on your face, the more aggressive you came off. And I think that's why.
And I think that's just such an asinine thing. It's like, it's like if you have tattoos on her. So, like, a good friend of mine who just had a birthday the other day, she works as one of her several jobs. Like, she's awesome. One of her several jobs is that she is she's a paramedic out in somewhere out in like the breadbasket of America. I forget. I think it's in Iowa, but don't quote me if I'm wrong. But yeah, she's got she was in the Army as well. So she's got like a sleeve on one arm. And it's nothing offensive. It's nothing, derogatory. I'm sure, and especially with a lot of vets, like all that, like individual things, you can pick them out. They all have meaning or some kind of signification of something. It's not just like, give me the most offensive shit, throw in some racial slurs.
They have significance.
Right. And it's all just like different facets. Like one of my buddies, Dean, he's got this really awesome tattoo right here. He's a sheriff's deputy in I think it's Levy County, I think. But he's got our old unit crest from our regiment, which is like a shield. It's got an X on it. It's got the fleur-de-lis, and it says Florida and Country. But he's also got like some other stuff across there and stuff, like a Black Hawk or some crazy shit. And it's, you can obviously look at it and go, oh, that's a military thing. Absolutely. And I think, and see, and that kind of, it's funny, we just worked that in too, but it's like that whole attitude of like, oh, if you have beard and tattoos, you're not going to be as good as your job. Like, who came up with that nonsensical bullshit? Because
someone that's stupid.
Who fucking cares? Like let the guys grow beards. Let whoever, if they want to have facial hair and tats, like, listen, no lie,
let them do it.
I think, like, when you see, especially like nowadays, now they're kind of relaxing the uniforms and stuff. I kind of like how, like, you wear like the tack vest, because listen, they've done plenty of medical studies about how wearing all that shit on your duty belt causes like hip dysplasia. It's causing back problems, all kind of stuff where it's just wrecking your body. By wearing it on some type of like load bearing vest over top of your uniform, it's cooler. You're able to kind of blend, kind of like spread out and distribute the weight a little bit easier. And everybody just sits here, like they grab the inside of their collar. Like everybody knows what that is. That's like that's where you rest your arm. I'm letting some air in. I'm also resting my hand. Say what's going on. But when you see
Especially on a nice hot day, you grab it and
just kind of pull it exactly.
and then it
But like
just
when you see somebody like that and they're wearing a beard and it's edged up nice and they're in, and especially for the cops that like really take their image to heart for the sake of being healthy, for being able to do their job satisfactorily, exceptionally well, and then also just for the sake of being healthy, taking care of their body, being in good shape in case they got to get into a foot chase or whatnot, never have to pull a car off of somebody or that kind of crap. That attitude, I think, is just, I mean, how much we should really do a show correlating attitude and like perception.
yeah.
Because like, how many times when we were growing up did you see cops? Dude, I remember clearly. Like, and
I saw some when I was younger. I saw a lot of hardened New York cops. So it's like, yeah.
So the movie theater out by us, Regency,
Mm-hmm.
people used to park their cars right there towards the end of the building and stuff. This one guy sitting here, he had his stereo just bumping, playing some loud, like gangster rap type stuff. So this cop, and he was a little bit larger of a guy, and again, I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just going off of what I observed and whatnot. He told the guy several times to move it. So he finally reached in there, yanked his keys out of the ignition, said, "No, it's too late. You're getting a ticket. I told you to move." He goes, "No, man, move." He's like, "It's too late." He put the keys on the side of the hood, and the keys just kind of slowly slid off the side. And he was a big guy, so he kind of had to do this thing where he braced himself against the car, kind of
To be able to grab them. Yeah.
leaned, like get himself back up. "Give me your driver's license. You're getting your ticket." I don't want to say good old boy because that would seem a little bit towards a negative, but it's like that's that it gives an attitude of like that's okay to be that, for that to be acceptable, and it's really
Yeah.
not.
No.
Whereas nowadays, like again, if you have a guy or a lady, they're in really good physical shape. They are obviously doing what they can to make themselves better physically to do the physicality portion of the job.
Yar.
The uniform fits better. They take the time to make sure that their image is good, because especially with making contact out with the public and stuff, it's like, go for it. I don't understand why that whole attitude of, tattoos and beards was bad, but I'm glad to see people turning the corner. Like I saw a big, ad for Norfolk PD a while back, a couple years ago, I think, and they were like, "We'll let you have beards. It can be only such length, as long as it's edged up, trimmed appropriately. And tattoos are fine as long as you're not offensive or just completely inappropriate for what you're doing. Who cares?" But that again, that can also go bad. It's like Brian and I were talking the other day, and it was like you see a guy, an off-duty deputy or police officer somewhere here in Tampa, and like they're at some kind of function where they're going into a large venue, and you can just tell that this dude is like he's got the mindset and attitude of being back in the sandbox. The way he's posturing, he's got all his tack gear, he's got his rifle freaking slung, and that's all fine and dandy, but you can still be alert and mentally prepared and have the attitude to be ready to keep naysayers at bay and evildoers and be jump into harm's way and whatnot. But you can go a little bit overboard, and it gives the attitude of like, wow, that's a little bit much. It's like the attitude. Another example I thought of is so like if you don't know, there's a color scheme for uniforms for police departments. So like city cops are going to wear like a black or navy blue uniform,
Or like navy blue. Yeah.
yeah. Sheriff's offices and sheriff's departments here in Florida wear some variation of green, whether it's green on green, white on green.
White on green. Yeah.
Sometimes they wear a black top with a green pair of slacks, trousers, whatever. And then if you're state, you're wearing either green and khaki or some type of khaki. Like troopers are going to wear the khaki on khaki, and then FWC wears khaki on green, whatever. A lot of these police departments were getting stuff like a lot of their SWAT guys will wear like military uniforms, like multicam. It's like multicam works good, yes, But I would think if you're going to be in the city, you're not really going to be out in those sticks too much, and it just
Exactly.
gives that militaristic attitude and that perception of like,
I say nighttime freaking ACU would be perfectly
well,
fine for them.
but that's actually why multicam came out with multicam black. So they could
Mm,
have like a black colored, and it matches duty gear and like black rifles and all that stuff. And it doesn't look like you're trying to copy. You're not walking around in Marpat or BDU. Like BDU, I think would be okay because nobody uses it anymore. It's been out of the
that's the
works
original
for
SWAT. The original
right.
SWAT used to wear that.
Exactly. Which I think it's okay. Like for Florida, oh, it's fine. Whatever. But just like solid color, like, you know, and some people would even argue like cops don't need to be wearing like any of the tactical uniforms because it just makes them look aggressive. They have that aggressive attitude and mindset and whatnot. So I get that too. But, you know, it's just kind of tis what it is, what it is.
What it is.
I think I'm going to read the military.com article, how a positive attitude can help you embrace another day in which to excel. This is the one with the Marine PFC on the front, on the top of the article. It's the military fitness.
Ooh,
So I'm going to read that one, okay?
hell
While
yeah.
you pull that up. Everything we do in life is about attitude. If you do something well, you likely have a positive attitude about starting and finishing hard work. The opposite holds true if you have a bad attitude about what you're doing. Staying positive is something you have to pursue actively. Such a mindset typically does not come naturally. Even the most self motivated and disciplined achievers in life need an occasional attitude adjustment. Sometimes it can come from your friends and family, a self realization that your life is not as bad as you think, or even a simple mantra
Oh wait, which one are you
you
doing? The
repeat.
importance of attitude, or are you doing the how positive attitude?
No, this one right here. This one you got up. This one here. So I'm right here at the bottom.
Ah, okay.
The second one where it says even a simple mantra you repeat daily. Just click out of that like add there at the bottom, and you should be good. Yeah, click out of that crap
And,
if you can.
the fuck? Yeah, it's not giving me an option. Bastard. Why is it asking me to log in or sign up? Why am I seeing this?
To read the full article, I don't know. Maybe try clicking out and going back to it.
Refresh maybe?
Maybe try that. Sorry, folks. Live show.
What the hell?
Right,
Well, read it. Fuck it. Just read the article.
Like I said, folks, live show. Such a mindset typically does not come natural. Oh, I said that already. Simple mantra you repeat daily. Here's a story about one of my favorite sayings that I continue to use every morning as I get out of bed. When I was a midshipman fourth class smith in 1987, one of the common phrases you would hear as you were asked, "What day is it?" was, "Sir, it is another day in which to excel, sir." I always thought that was a pretty motivating phrase and still do. But as a plebe at the U.S. Naval Academy, once you start to like something, someone will find a way to make your life a little harder. I was asked, "Smith, what does that phrase mean? Where does it come
Facts.
from?" As a first year naval student at the Naval Academy, they drove home 5 basic responses: yes, sir; no, sir; aye, aye, sir, meaning you will understand the command and will do as instructed. The correct answer, and "I'll find out, sir." As you can guess, I had to say, "I'll find out, sir." So I was self tasked with finding out about the phrase that I chanted every day. I knew that if my squad leader asked me again and I did not know the answer, I would have some form of extra duty to eat up whatever spare time I had. These 5 responses ingrain in you a sense of accountability, teach you to take the initiative and find out about information when you do not know it. Way back then, you did your research at the library. There was no Google. Luckily, Nimitz Library has an extensive collection of
Nope.
books, and after a relatively short period of time, I found a book titled "Another Day in Which to Excel," written by Colonel Paul Barber, U.S. Air Force. Another Day in Which to Excel is Barber's life story. He grew up during the Depression in the Dust Bowl of Kansas, became an Air Force pilot, and continued to service in the highest levels of government. He shared his daily phrase, "Another day in which to excel," with countless soldiers and airmen, as well as young ROTC students after World War II. And as he continued to motivate generations of new military, and he has continued to motivate generations of new military members with that phrase. Back to attitude. It is scientifically proven that having a positive attitude is connected directly to happiness and success. Here are some ideas about how to stay positive when having a bad day. Number one, it's all relative. Your bad day will likely not seem so bad when compared to someone in a war-torn country, battling cancer or serious illness, enduring the death of a loved one, or enduring another catastrophic event. Eventually, we will have our share of really bad days. That's life. But the little things that tend to beat us up pale in comparison to real problems. Snap out of it and move on. Number two, be positive. Start your day by saying to yourself or reading a poster on the wall you made about how you're going to crush your day. A quick positive saying can help frame your day. Doing so can jumpstart your thinking in the right direction even when you are tired and hungry. Number three, eat, drink, and breathe. Be aware that sometimes your mood can be affected directly by hunger, grumpy, dehydration, drained, and stress, anxious. Eat something healthy, drink water, and focus on deep inhales and exhales when feeling anxiety about a future event. Number four, set the example. Be an example to others around you. Smile and make them smile too. Your positivity and negativity are contagious. I'm going to read that little nugget of advice again. And I quote, your positivity and negativity are contagious. You either can be a faucet or a drain. Oh, I love this.
Didn't I say something like that a little bit earlier?
You can either be a faucet or a drain on others around you. You can fill them up or suck the life out of them. Your attitude matters to others around you. And number five, find ways to excel. Even when you are pushed to your limits and have to do things that seemingly have no direction towards your goals, do them at your best. Take meaningless tasks and time them. Race your personal best and that of others in your group. We had a story about two former students who were attending a Spec Ops selection program recently. They were tasked with bear crawling for more than a quarter mile as a punishment for being screwed up. Due to much of their preparation, which included bear crawls, they were crushing the event to the point where the instructor said, "Who are you guys? Varsity bear crawl team?" This was certainly funny, but more importantly, a positive acknowledgement from an instructor is a good thing, especially during an event that is meant to punish. It is understandable that being a positive person does not come naturally to everyone. I am sure you know many who are just the opposite and are great at being negative. Avoid them. If you can't avoid them
earlier.
If you can't avoid them due to your current situation, you have to focus on the positive and let any negativity fall away. Keep pushing forward and remember that every day starts a new day which to excel. It says Stu Smith is a former Navy SEAL and fitness author certified as a strength and conditioning specialist with the National Strength and Conditioning Association. Has a couple of books here, ebook store, blah, 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 blah. Yada, 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 yada. So, yeah. As we said, very, very, very important. Having a good attitude is crucial. Okay. And especially like we talked about when you get out, I mean, you can sit here and be bitter, or you can focus on the positive. When I was did I get the opportunity to earn my CIB? No. Did I still go over and do some stuff? Sure. I didn't, get into as much stuff as anybody else, but I still went over and did my job, just like anybody else. So,
yep,
it's important to have that kind of attitude. Like, I was taking my daughter somewhere last night, and she kind of turned into a little junior version of me, and I'll explain what that means in a sec. Hold on, you'll see where I'm going with this, Macho. Hold on. So, she had to be at school because there was like a little school event going on, and the chorus was performing. So, the thing started at 5:30. She's got to be there at 5:15. So I got off of work. I came home, changed, freshened up a little bit, grabbed her, got her in the car, all that good stuff. Got her some dinner that she could eat relatively quickly. Went to like Burger King. sitting in the Burger King drive-thru. It's like 5:03, and she's like, "Dad, we're gonna be late." I'm like, "I got you. I got this. Sit down now." She goes, "But we're gonna be late." I said, "Sweetie, the reason I picked Burger King is we're less than a half mile from the school. We got to cross a major avenue out here, and we're good." So like it took literally 3 minutes to get up and over where we needed to go. Parked the car. She then had like 7 or 8 minutes to eat dinner before we went into the school, and she had to go do her thing. I'm like, I said, "Sweetie, it's like, just let me handle about the big stuff. Your biggest priority is getting food in you. Eat." So,
or else you get hangry.
pretty much. But yeah, I mean, this is maybe something that we can also kind of revisit another time too, because there's still a lot more we could talk about on attitude.
Oh, hell yeah.
Especially, as I mentioned, in the realm of like attitude amongst veterans, and like when you get out and you got some guys that are like bitter, and you see like that. Oh, I'm gonna key up the whole stereotype of being a disgruntled vet, or just a unruly person.
Lord, have I seen many of those, man.
So yeah, I mean, and that's a lesson that can very easily not. I mean, it's predominantly here we talked about it from the perspective of military and law enforcement, firefighters, and veterans, all this stuff. Let's just try to remember to have a good attitude especially when talking to other people. Like if you get pulled over, listen. It's you can watch any show about cops. So you can watch Cops. You can watch any of the other alternate shows that are on TV. When you're not being a dick and you have a decent attitude, things get over with quicker. It's going to be less painful.
This is actually a good story. Like I got pulled over recently. I guess I was speeding. I was doing 15 over. I was doing 15 over by I mean, granted, it's a weekend, so it's not even like something I was even thinking about. But I'm going past the school, and apparently it's a 40 in that area, and I was doing 55. Well, deputy pulls me over, gets me all, is like, and I'm just thinking like, son of a bitch, I just got a damn come on. I just got the car fixed. I just went to Walmart to get fucking cookies. So I got pulled over, and I'm sitting there in the driver's seat.
Listen, dude, time out. If we get a fucking shirt of your face, you going like that with the expression, "I just went to Walmart to get fucking cookies."
That'd be fucking awesome.
Oh my god, that's a
anyway, I'm sitting in the driver's seat like this, and the deputy comes up to me. He goes, "Sir, are you aware why I pulled you over?" And I go, "Yes, officer, because I am a fucking idiot." And he goes, "Huh, okay. Well, you were doing 55 in a 40." And I was like, "I understand, officer." The first words out of my and I gave him, obviously I gave him all for my information, whatever. Found out I was a veteran, whatever. He kind of took it a little easy on me. I still had to go to, the courthouse to pay a $10 fee to prove I had insurance, because I did. But of course I had to pull it up on my phone, but neither here nor there. I didn't have a physical copy in the car because I used my phone.
Yeah, I did that too. I had insurance once when I got pulled over, and they were like, "So I can either give you." I'm like, "No, I got insurance. I got the insurance card." They're like, "Listen, I can either give you a speeding ticket, or no." I went through an intersection, like maybe like half a second before the light turned red, and they were trying to say, hurry. I'm like,
yeah, that red light bullshit. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I got pulled over by two motorcycle cops, and they're like, "So I can either give you a red light ticket, or I can give you a ticket for failure to display proper insurance, and you can just go pay $10 to the clerk down in at the city courthouse." I'm like,
"And what do? You
I'll take option
$10.
I'll take option B.
You paid him $10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I so did.
it was funny though, because I did get a slight chuckle out of him when I said that. Just like because I am a fucking idiot. He's- the just like you could tell he wanted to laugh harder, but he was trying to like, nope, don't do it,
He's trying to keep his bearing.
don't
He's just
do
like,
it, don't do it.
"Mm."
So it's like
Because you probably would have heard him on his body cam going. So
I'm willing to guarantee he probably did do that as soon as he got in his cruiser.
he's probably in the back who's going, "What the fuck was that, man?" I kind of had something similar happen. I had to go into work on like Christmas Eve when I worked out in Tampa, and I had to fix something. And needless to say, somebody that I was with at the time was not happy about that. So I'm coming home, and right there on USF, right by USF is I was on Fletcher. So
Fletcher.
there is a senior citizen ALF back there. It's like a little village of like senior citizen apartments and whatnot. So it's a assisted living facility.
Old fogey's home.
Like convalescent home or something. So the speed limit's down to 35. And I was doing 50. And I get pulled. And funny enough, I was on the phone with our friend Jose. I'm like, dude, I'm getting pulled over by campus police. He's like, what? I'm like, I'll call you back. So I pull off.
Yeah, their jurisdiction is actually 1 mile outside of the campus.
So I was told 1,000 feet. She said, because I asked that question, she said, hi, how's it going? I'm like, good, officer. I said, what's going on? She goes, pulled you over for speeding. She goes, and I was like, the speed limit is 50 miles an hour on Fletcher Avenue. She goes, and you were in front of the Senior Citizen Center. And I was just like, and it goes down to 35. Yeah. I can't even argue that. Busted. Mm-hmm. So she's like, do you have your ID with you? I'm like, yeah. And I had my, and I'm not trying to say I use this on purpose, but I happen to have my my little field coat, my field jacket, camo field jacket sitting in front of the seat. She goes, "You're veteran?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "All right, just do me a favor, slow down." And she just gave me a warning and sent me on my way and stuff. And I was like, "Campus police pulled me over." Which I'm like, no shit. So I was just like, but yeah, I mean, any of those things could have gone bad and just had a bad attitude about it, and dude, and it could have just gone the complete other way.
Oh yeah.
You don't know what other people's attitude is going to be. So a lot of times, man, like I'm just like, I'm not trying to talk to people unless I absolutely have to. It's like, so. So what do you folks at home think? I mean, we kind of jumped around a little bit. We didn't read most of the articles that we pulled up, so which is fine. But at the same time, I mean, we kind of got the point across. Like, it's been medically and scientifically proven that having a positive attitude just makes your life a little bit better. You're healthier. You're not stressed. You don't have all the tension, headaches, and all this other kind of junk. So, yeah, it's kind of a thing,
It indeed is.
And you know what? I think what I want to do is I'm going to go back and watch the interview of our friend Mr. Lee when we had him on as our first VIP panel, because he had a really good point. I remember now talking about how, like, separating out of the military, kind of thinking of changing your attitude to think about it from the military mindset to just being like, now we're in the civilian world. We're outside of that little break glass in case of war. We're out of that, and we're just kind of out in the general populace of the world and stuff. So, but yeah, attitude is importante, and that's something
muy importante.
Something we should pass along to our kids if you're not doing it already. It would behoove you to freaking do it, there, person. Anyway, that's our talk. We're gonna wrap this up for this week and continue on from there. So, if you are visiting our show for the first time, we want to genuinely say thank you. We appreciate you stopping by, giving us a look or listen. This is something that we do every single week, or we try to. Sometimes we have scheduling conflicts and we have to maybe postpone a week or two or months because of issues. But Alamo and I, besides going to high school together, we used to work together in the private sector. We worked in a retail environment. And we had this other dude that worked with us named John. John was also a veteran. He was a Marine Corps guy, Marine Corps vet. and he worked with me and Alamo in our department. Funny dude, love to laugh, love to have a good time, love to smile. Like just thinking about all the dumb shit we did, it was just. I'm surprised we didn't get fired like several times over, like straight up. We used to do some dumb.
Bam.
Yeah, it just reminds me of that guy from like Forrest Gump. It was like, Gump, how can you watch that stupid shit? Turn it off. It's like I'm surprised. Like somebody said, how can you guys get away with doing stupid shit? Get out of here, man. Like,
Then it was always this was always the response.
just like the emoji. So, but we worked with John for a little bit of time. We had some fun times. It was one of the best jobs I ever had. And John left, and then Alamo left, and I left at different times. We all kind of fell out of touch. And Alamo and I reconnected doing an event for his wife's channel, Flipside Mentorship. Check it out. And we were talking about, quote unquote, getting the band back together. So we were, I was on Facebook one day, and I found out that John had unfortunately taken his own life. He solved a temporary problem with a permanent solution. And I got in contact with Alamo here. I said, hey, did you hear about John? He goes, no, I got to call him for his birthday. I'm like, you can't. He's gone. And for me, that was like the moment of inspiration where I was like, hey, you talked about doing something. I'm in. What do we want to do? He mentioned a podcast. I was like, I don't know shit about podcasts. He goes, dude, they put a monkey in space. How hard can it be? I'm like, that's a valid point, sir. Very valid point. So we came up with the idea of what you see now, which is a Battle Bros podcast. And in the progenesis of that, we came up with the Battle Bros Code. And what the Battle Bros Code is 4 easy tenets that you can remember to help keep yourself in the fight, to keep yourself moving on to another day, and just to keep yourself here and not fall into that trap of, the spiral into darkness and into the the great unknown and beyond and all that kind of stuff. So if you can remember these 4 things, you're going to have a pretty good chance of staying around and, being able to tackle the next day and taking it head on. So
hell yeah.
All you got to do is remember the letters of BROS, BROS. B, be tenacious. No matter what you do in life, do it to the utmost of your abilities, with vigor, with gusto, with enthusiasm. Go out there and do it 100%. All right. In the immortal words of Ron Swanson, don't half-ass 2 things, whole ass 1 thing. And like as goofy as that statement is, it makes a lot of sense. Like focus on what you need to focus on and go out and do it. That's why you always want to set a goal. My dad always said you want to set a daily, monthly, yearly goal. So even when it gets bad, you have accomplished something so you can have a good attitude. Well said, Max.
Oh yeah, Max.
Well said, man. But yeah, no matter what you do, whatever title that is, being a parent, being a soldier, being a cop, being a fireman, being a post office, being the freaking, the gardener, the landscaper, whatever, dude. Go out there and do it and put your name on it and do it with pride and effort and love. Just do it. Go out there and do it the best and do it to the fullest. So be tenacious. R, refuse to surrender. There are going to be times in life when things come up and get you distracted, off mission, turned around, lost in the woods like a brand new lieutenant, whatever the case may be. Do not give up.
Yeah.
Like the immortal words of Tim Allen. Was it Tim Allen or was it Buzz Lightyear who said never give up, never surrender?
No, it was Tim Allen, but it was his character, Jason Nesmith
in Galaxy
Quest.
Never give up, never surrender.
Never surrender.
That's a great quote. A very, very underrated movie. If you haven't seen Galaxy Quest, get off your ass. Go rent it this weekend. Go watch it. It is fucking hilarious. It's one of those movies. It's a gem. It's not on like everybody's radar, but dude, it is so good. So many people are in that. You've got Tim Allen. You've got Sigourney Weaver. You've got the dude that played Monk. What's his name? Tony.
Shalhoub.
My
God. Tony
Shalhoub.
Tony Shalhoub and Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman. The Alan of Rickman. By
Yeah.
Graham Thor's beard, by Ragnar's hammer, you shall be avenged. So good.
Yep.
So good.
uh,
Such a fun movie, too.
by
Oh,
Grapthos,
also,
you shall be avenged.
what's his name? The guy that was in Green Mile. Um, Billy the Kid.
I don't remember his name.
The guy that played Justin
He's a
Hammer.
funny ass actor, though.
Justin Hammer on Iron Man.
Yeah.
What the hell is that guy's name? That's gonna bug me now.
It's gonna bug me now too. And this is the squirrel moments we like to talk about, folks.
Who is Sam Rockwell? That's it. Yes. Sam Rockwell.
And you know what's funny is I remember that name, and I just
Jesus.
couldn't remember. I couldn't
I know.
put the face with the name.
I can see the guy's face clear as day because he's just always like a witty. He's like the he's like the perfect antithesis for Tony Stark because he's like smart, sassy, smart-assy, wiseacre, but he's just not a nice guy. And it's just like it's like the yin to his yang.
Wait! What are you doing? Why are you opening a door? We're on an alien planet. Is there air? You don't know.
I love that scene when Tony Shalhoub starts hanging out with the alien chick, and the Sam Rockwell just goes,
"Oh, that's not right. No."
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So yeah, refuse to surrender.
Refuse to surrender, guys. Yes.
Getting back on track. Oh, obliterate your obstacles. You know, when we talked about those obstructions, those obstacles coming up and getting in your way, do what you have to get them out of your way. Go around them. You know, navigate around them. Whether it's if you're doing, you know, a movement to contact or something, moving to an objective. Sometimes you might have to get off the MSR, go through the woods, down the river, over the river, through the woods, that kind of stuff. You may have to clear the roadway of an obstruction using some, you know, Bangalores or whatnot. Sometimes you got to use C4 and det cord something, and sometimes you just got to drive an armored vehicle, back it up into something. It happens.
It sure does.
That's a great quote. I wish I could have screenshotted you going, because that's a great shot there too. Failed the striker driver's course. Yeah. Obliterate your obstacles. Just remember, you know, you're gonna get. Sometimes you get your, you know, you're facing the dirt. You get knocked down. You just pick yourself up, dust yourself off. You know, get yourself back on track and moving towards the OBJ. Okay?
Hell yes.
Hit the X. X. Most importantly, seek out help in a time of need. You know, as with the case of our friend John, his passing was very unfortunate because he's a dude that should still be here today. He gave in to the demons that he had and solved that temporary problem with a permanent solution, and that is just not acceptable anymore. On average, 22 veterans a day commit suicide. Okay, and that is a hard fact number. Okay, that is our epidemic that we're trying to stop because that's too many damn people. There's a lot of people that just needed some help to get turned around and get themselves on the right track. And that help can come in a lot of different forms. It can come in the form of, you know, your best friend since high school. It can come in the form of a family member, a coworker, somebody you served with in the military. I mean, hell, who better to understand what you're going through than somebody who's been there with you through some of the hardest moments of your military career and possibly of your life as well.
A shared hardship can be a shared hardship regardless whether or not you served at the same exact time. You know,
exactly right.
It's interesting sometimes how that happens.
For sure. But you know, if you unfortunately don't have anybody like that in your life, there are still options available. You can call if you ever feel like you're going to harm yourself. I would advise you don't. Please don't. There are people to help you. There's the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. You can call 1-800-273-8255 or 1-800-273-TALK. That's Tango Alpha Lima Kilo. 1-800-273-TALK. You can also dial 988. Again, that's 988 from any cellular device. You can also text them, I believe. That's two ways to reach the same entity. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you are going to harm yourself, they tell you if it's emergency, press 1. They'll get you on the line with somebody as soon as possible, which is a pretty brief amount of time and whatnot. So um, just know that there are resources available for you out there. Don't have the attitude of, oh, no one cares, no one's going to help me. I'm going to politely tell you, all due respect, that's fucking horseshit. You need to be here. You need to stay here. Pass on your experiences and your wisdom to the next generation.
Do not deprive anyone of the presence of you.
Yes, absolutely. So if you can remember those 4 things: be tenacious, refuse to surrender, obliterate your obstacles, seek out help in a time of need, you're going to have like a 90-95% chance of like sticking in the fight and moving on to the next day. As the guy said in the book, another day in which to excel. Okay?
Damn right.
Tie that back to the episode. So just remember those things. I'm going to hand it off to Alamo now. He's going to do the other portion of the sign off, and then we're going to go from there. So take it away.
If you would like to get in contact with us, you can do that on multiple platforms. One of them being the Facebook, where you can catch us over at facebook.com/battlebros.podcast. You can also catch us over on the Instagram at battlebros_podcast. You can also catch us on X, formerly known as Twitter, over at BattleBrosPC, where you can go ahead and instant message us on instant message us on either one of those platforms.
Listen, folks, it's hard to put on a podcast. It's even harder to do so on a Friday night when you've worked a full week, you're raising kids, you're dealing with schedules after school. It's like #facts. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us. Please understand, we just pretty damn tired. Like, I always have something here in case of emergency.
Just it is special juice.
We are not sponsored or endorsed by Monster or any other energy drinks. However, we would like to be if anybody has that connection. Hook these brothers up. But yeah, in case I start getting delirious, I pop the top on that and continue to drive on. So, as you were saying, my good man.
You can catch us, or you can go ahead and message us on any one of those instant messaging services. If you're especially private about wanting to address someone that you know, or it's about yourself, and this goes for civilian as well as law enforcement and fire. We cater mainly to the military, but we also try to cater to a broader audience as well, because we do have listeners that have not served.
And that's okay. We're not going to judge. We're not going to, we're not going to stereotype you. We're not going to tell you that you're not important, because that's not the case. We are mainly geared for the veteran, military, and first responder community. However, if you have an issue that we can help with, hey, we'd like to give it a try and see what we can do to help, because everybody.
Because just because you're not in the military doesn't mean you shouldn't be here.
Exactly right.
So we do have a more private option for you to reach us, especially if it's about a family member or otherwise or whatever. You can contact us at battlebrospc@gmail.com. You can, again, that's once again battlebrospc@gmail.com for our listeners over on Spotify and otherwise. If you're driving and you're listening to us, you should not be watching us, just so you know.
Listen, but not watch.
Exactly. So once again, that's battlebrospc@gmail.com. Message us, let us know, hey, I have a friend, or hey, I'm having issues, or whatever. Because sometimes really the only thing that you need is to get what you have going on with you off your chest. And weirdly enough, I know that from personal experience. Or I should say, rather, unfortunately, I know that from personal experience, that sometimes you just need to get things off your chest. And it sucks when you're in that position to be that person that is, unfortunately, on that teeter-tottering little ledge.
The
And
precipice.
so definitely, like I said, if you're an individual who's having issues, or you know someone that's having issues, don't hesitate. Message us. Let it be private. We will contact you via the email as often as you message us, and as often as you try to try and keep in contact. We will definitely be messaging you. Again, we don't want to see anybody lost to um, the demons, as I will say, um, because it sucks, and it sucks even worse for you not to be here. So just do everybody that favor and reach out. Also, last thing, if you want to listen to us anywhere other than the YubTub, because obviously, like, once again, if you're driving, don't watch, listen. You can catch us over on Spotify, where we also have video. Where we also have video of ourselves on there as well. You can see our beautiful faces. But you can also catch us on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, um, Google Podcasts, as well as, I believe, Apple, if I remember correctly. There's a slew of different platforms. I can't even remember at this point. But we are on a few different audio platforms. So if whatever your most popular audio platform, like Spotify or whatever, we're on that sucker. So give us a listen.
We've done enough shows now. I think we finally get a little bit of traction. People are like, "Oh yeah, I might have heard of them. I actually saw an ad for them. Oh, I think I Google searched them by accident one time."
Yeah. Other than that, I'm good.
Awesome. So once again, folks, if it's your first time, thanks for stopping by. If it's not your first time, thanks for coming back and checking us out, giving us a look and listen. Just remember, sometimes it's not about you hearing the message; it's about you hearing it and paying it forward and passing it along, to the person till it gets to the person that needs to hear that message. That's okay. A lot of what we're doing is still word of mouth. We're still, we're in our 5th season, but we're still kind of a small time podcast, which is fine
Yep.
because it gives you the humility that you need to have to make it into when you get big and one day and all that good stuff. So,
Hell yeah.
we cannot do this show without you folks at home watching, listening, consuming our content. So we thank you for that. This has been this week's latest and greatest episode 092, entitled Attitude of the Battle Bros Podcast. My name is Mac. That was Alamo. We thank you for stopping by, and we will see you down the road.
Battle Bros out.